Hello everyone, welcome back to the homestead and to our first summer garden tour for 2024. If you're new to our channel, welcome. My name is Carrie and we are a family of 9. We've been living on this property for a little over 10 years and gardening every year that we've been here. So we are in a zone 6 and we live in the Missouri Ozarks. Missouri Ozarks are a very unique place to garden. So as we go through the garden tours today, I'm going to be highlighting some of the favorite varieties that have worked well for us here in Missouri. So this year we're gardening in 2 main garden spaces, and we're going to begin in our main crop, which is completely new to us this year. It's a space we've wanted to develop for years and are finally getting to it, so I'm really excited about all the extra space we have in that area. We'll be starting there because that's where the sun hits first in the morning and it's a lot easier to film before the sun comes up. And then next we'll move on to our kitchen garden, which is the area that I've called my classroom over the last 10 years. It's the space that we have experimented with growing just about everything. We've got fruit trees, berry bushes, perennials, herbs, and some annual growing space. It's a place where we've been able to learn how to grow all the different things in small quantities. So now that we know what works well, we're able to do much larger quantities out in our main crop area. For those of you who've followed our channel for a while now, you know that I absolutely love gardening. These gardens that we're going to tour today are a result of 10 years of a lot of hard work by the whole family. But more than that, I see them as a gift from our Heavenly Father, and I just absolutely love sharing this gift with other people. So I hope this blesses you today. May Yahweh be glorified as we tour the gardens today.
As you come into our main crop area, first you have our raspberries, and our favorite variety is Heritage. So Mom gave me this space this year, and I have a bunch of flowers, some tomato plants, cucumbers, peppers, and a basil plant.
Hello chickens! How are you today? Hi! So right next to the play area here, we have some beds that eventually are going to be all like a raspberry hedge. We didn't get the raspberries planted early enough on most of it, so we're using the space this year for some basil and tomatoes and cucumbers, some peppers. We had a little bush bean plant randomly in there. And then here we do have the start of the raspberries transplanted from our kitchen garden out here. We've got some garlic interplanted with them. And then we had a little extra space down here, so we've got kind of a fun combination of rhubarb, lemongrass, moringa, and a few flowers around the corner there. And over here, I gave Esther Pie a bed for some tomatoes. I also have a few of my peppers and basil plugged in here. She's trying a new variety. Is this new to you this year?
Yeah.
What variety of tomatoes do you have here?
Paul Robson.
Yeah, and they are doing amazing. The bushes are just loaded with tomatoes. Most of the beds out here are 4 foot by 12 foot. So behind Esther, we've got another fun combination of things going on. One of our favorite squashes, Esther, which one is that?
Zucchino rampicante.
Yeah, Zucchino rampicante, which we use as a summer squash. And if you leave them on the vine, they can harden up to a nice winter squash as well. So that's, I think, by far our favorite summer squash, huh?
Yeah.
And then I had a little empty space here that I hadn't planned anything for, so I put my red roselle out here. There's 4 of those, and underplanted is some kohlrabi. And our favorite kohlrabi varieties are Quick Star, Conan, And I think we have a new one this year too that we tried, Winter. That's going to be another favorite, huh?
Yeah.
All right, next what do we have here, Esther?
Corn.
Corn. And I think our favorite variety is Orchard Baby. That's what's right here. It doesn't get very big. It matures quickly before the bugs seem to get it. So it's actually a corn variety that we can grow without a lot of bug pressure because it just makes little corn cobs and they mature before the bugs really get to them.
Yeah.
And then you planted another variety as well this year that we're trialing. So we'll see if that one works.
Yep. Next we have 2 beds of potatoes.
Yeah, and we've struggled with regular potatoes, but I think Kennebec is probably one we'll stick with. This year we're also trying Yukon Gold, and most of our success has been with just organic red potatoes from the store, huh?
Yeah.
And next we have our sweet potato beds that stretch all the way across the back of the garden here, and they're in 2-foot high beds.
So hopefully the underground varmints won't be able to get them.
Yeah, last year in our kitchen garden, just in the in-ground beds, we had something eat a bunch of our sweet potatoes, so hopefully not this year.
Yeah.
And our favorite varieties are Mahon Yam, Beauregard,
And Azure Purple.
yeah, purple sweet potato we got from Azure Standard. We also like Murasaki. Covington did well for us last year also, but those we have a hard time getting them to start, getting slips off of them. They just don't like to start very well. So we don't have a whole lot of those this year. So we use cattle panels for arches going over this main center pathway. And we got these in just a little bit late, and I really didn't think we were even going to have them this year. So everything's a little bit disorganized in here and kind of a second thought, but it's working okay. Here we have some cherry tomatoes that we're just stringing up off of the trellis here because I had to plant them on the inside of the trellis rather than the outside. If I had planted them on the outside, they could have grown up and over the trellis pretty well. We've done that before. But since the potatoes are already planted there, I ended up putting them on the inside of the trellis and just stringing them up. We have some more cherry tomatoes just starting on this side, and I plugged in some sweet potatoes here because I couldn't fit them in the other beds.
Our favorite cherry tomato varieties is Black Cherry and Sunrise Bumblebee.
Yeah, those are ones that we've grown for years that always seem to do well.
In this bed we have various melons, and our first winter squash starts.
Yep, and we love Orange Glow Watermelon. I think that's our favorite. Sugar Baby's another good one. And for squash, we really like Waltham Butternut. And then I have some hardnut garlic here as well. That is just about ready to be harvested. And we have a few peppers down here as well that are coming back to life. I thought I had lost this one. It's Orange Blaze, but it looks like it's going to survive. This bed unfortunately was filled with a really awful soil last year. I had gone off of somebody on YouTube's recommendation for Kellogg brand soil from Home Depot, and it's just not doing great at all. So we're working on amending this bed, and I've been putting a lot of comfrey tea on it to help these plants along. Hopefully they'll make it. Next bed here is a bunch of cabbage, and so far this year it looks like the Golden Cross is doing the best, as well as Stonehead and Katarina. Last year Tierra did well for us, but it is not doing as well this year. And Golden Acre we've tried in the past, and it's just not doing as well as the others this year either. And we're also trying a storage variety called Storage Number 4, and it looks like it's actually doing really well. This one's not ready to harvest yet, but the others are quick to mature varieties over here, and so we're hoping to harvest some of them today and make some sauerkraut. Real quick, I want to show you the difference between covered and uncovered cabbage in Missouri. That is an uncovered cabbage. That is a covered cabbage. This is just tulle that you can get like at a fabric store, and it's been working really great. Highly recommend it for cabbage or any brassicas here in Missouri.
Yeah. Here we have a bunch of tomatoes. Our favorite slicing and canning tomatoes are Celebrity and Amish Paste. We also have a newer variety that we really like for slicing called Amano.
Yeah, some friends gave us some Amano tomatoes a few years ago. So we've been growing them for 2 years now.
I think something like
Yeah,
that.
so they're still kind of new to us, but they're doing really well. And then we also are growing San Marzano and your Paul Robeson. And then the last thing out here is we've got some more Zucchino Rampicante going up over this trellis. I don't know if I'm going to have room for my planned purple pole beans or not, but we'll see. And then we have some beets that are just finishing out. We've been harvesting those the last couple of weeks, so there's not very many left, but they're finally getting to where we can harvest them.
Almost forgot, we have some drought-proof Wando peas that are finishing out.
Yeah, I think those are the only peas that have ever worked for us. Drought-proof Wando. So our kitchen garden now expands around to our backyard. This is all fairly new. We've got a couple of Moore Park apricot trees back here, some blueberry bushes, some serviceberry, lots of herbs plugged in all over the place. Then we've got our New Dawn rose that's not in bloom anymore, but it was lovely, and we're going to have a nice cobblestone sitting area and hopefully build a pergola for that rose to climb over. In the back there is an Annabelle hydrangea that the rain has caused to flop a bit, but we're so enjoying that. Huge blooms. We have some purple prince zinnias back here. It's one of my favorites. Beatrice. Some dwarf globe amaranth that is just starting. That's another favorite. We had to cover Esther's little artistic garden here because the muscovies and the bugs were really taking her things out, really causing damage here. You can see this cabbage got a lot of damage before we covered it. Hopefully they're going to make it now that they've got the cover over them. So sometimes gardening doesn't go as you'd hoped, huh?
Yeah.
Next year, if you plant in this spot, we'll hopefully get it covered right away, and your plants will do much better.
Hopefully.
Then here, kind of between the backyard and the side yard, we have a little shady area with a nice hammock that was given to us. Thank you again for the hammock. And so I've got a little hosta bed, and then back in the corner we've got asparagus, some echinacea, various things growing on the edge there. Mountain mint, apple mint bed. So the pathway to the turkey yard kind of divides our side and backyard from the rest of the garden. Right now it looks like we have Catherine Woodsberry daylily in bloom over here. Yep. Our first one. So beautiful. The muscovies are Getting so big and still roaming the garden. So in this kitchen garden space we have about 10 annual beds. Here's the first one we're coming to. This is some spearmint, some bolted lettuce that I'm going to pull out and put something else in its spot. We've got a new kale we are trying this year called Thunderhead, but the Muscovies love it. So unless I cover it, I don't think we're going to get much kale from that. Then we've got some summer squash here coming on.
Next is our butterfly garden. We have mostly Anisetum and Echinacea that the butterflies love.
Yes, hopefully we can get a shot of them later when the sun comes up. And over here we've got short stuffed sunflowers that we've grown for years now because they stay really short, mature quickly, but have really big sunflower heads. And we like to feed those to our birds on the homestead. And then I just planted a second round of winter squash that's just coming up. These are Waltham butternut squash. So further into the garden here we have a hardy citrus called Flying Dragon, a Pixwell gooseberry, and some chocolate mint that is out of control. I need to do something with that. And then we have 6 annual grow beds in a row here. And on the end of each we've got some flowers and herbs, and then our annual crops beyond that. This is a purely daylily that I just love. And this bed here we've got kohlrabi just finishing out. We've already harvested most of our broccoli and cauliflower, and there were a few cabbages tucked in here as well. So Gemini we already harvested. It's already given us some more broccoli there. That's one of our favorite varieties, as well as Monty. And for the cauliflower, I don't know if you can see it down in there. Amazing cauliflower is our favorite variety for cauliflower. So in the next bed we have some chard that I had to cover because the Muscovies were munching it up. We had some radishes in here that are finished, some onions, and then we have Danver half-long carrots, which is done pretty well. Would you say those are the best varieties so far? The Danver half-long?
Probably.
Yeah, and you harvested some yesterday and made some ferments.
Yep.
Then next I've got some oregano that is taking over. I need to pull some of this out. It's getting a little invasive. But we had some potatoes here that are mostly harvested. And those are drying over here on our rack. The next bed we are trying a new bush bean. It's a yellow variety. So we'll see how that does. So far so good. And got some more onions and volunteer potatoes that sprouted up in the onions. So poor onions are getting a little bit crowded out there. We had some radishes that just came out, so I'll put something else in there soon. And then on the end we have my favorite daylily. I'm not usually a fan of yellow, but this Fragrant Returns reblooming daylily I just love. And then we've also got some Caradonna salvia mixed in. And then the next bed on the end we've got some drumstick alliums that are just starting to bloom, along with the daylilies and some white liatris. In this bed we have, I believe, Kennebec potatoes, our first harvest of those that are just about ready to be harvested. And the last annual bed in this area we've got some purple Dioro daylilies and blue queen salvia, pretty combination, and a bunch of onions. This whole bed is mostly onions. We did put a few radishes at the end that are done. They're going to seed, and I plugged in a little bit of spring garlic. This is actually the first time I've ever planted garlic in the spring. I usually always plant it in the fall, but I had some from last year's harvest that overwintered and was starting to sprout in my pantry, so I thought I'll just try it. I planted it I think in March, and I was really surprised because we just harvested about half of our garlic, and it did just as well as our fall garlic, if not better. So I think I might do that in the future. Instead of just throwing our sprouting garlic into the compost, I'm going to put it in the ground in the spring and we'll get a lot more garlic that way. Over here on the edge of the garden, we have kind of a little horseshoe area where we've got a lot of yarrow and echinacea, some sedums. There's some grasses in here, Carly rose grass, comfrey, anise hyssop, and this area just helps bring in a lot of beneficial bugs into the garden. It's a fun space.
Melter came in.
And we can work our way back over to this other side. This is all of our apple trees in here, which I'll talk about in a minute. Coming back over here, got a couple of perennial beds. We've got some lemon balm and comfrey that we've been feeding to the animals. I tucked in a new little anise hyssop here. There's some salvia, echinacea. And then this side of the garden we've got mostly strawberry beds and garlic that just came out. I still haven't finished harvesting all of the hardneck music is the variety garlic, but the other garlic, the softneck garlic, all came out a couple days ago and we were working on curing that. Then along the turkey yard there's some hardy hibiscus, Esther's dahlias, kind of plugged in between a bunch of Jerusalem artichokes that we tried to get rid of last year, but they came back. Next we have our double arch cattle panel trellis that has been up for years, working fantastic. On this side we've got some provider bush beans underneath, some wild rudbeckia that I leave in place because it seems to help the cucumbers not get attacked by cucumber beetles. So this is a straight 8 cucumber that's not producing yet, but getting there, and I've got some more freshly planted on that side. We had some red potatoes that came out on this side. There's just a couple left to harvest. And our favorite pole bean on this side, this purple potted pole bean. We've been growing them for years and years and they do fantastic for us. They're just starting to produce. And then at the end of the trellises, we've got 2 more perennial flower and herb beds here. Some more echinacea, some lavender. There's a yucca called Adam's Needle Color Guard. Plugged in some salvia here this year as well. Various other perennials. And then we come to the wild corner of the garden where the outside jungle is just taking over. It is beautiful though. This is a wild grape along the top of the fence line here. We've got some creeping thyme and sedum. Another purely daylily over here. Some more of Esther's dahlias that are just about ready to bloom, not quite. Then next you come to the girls' gardens. This is Abigail's garden here. She's got all kinds of things going on. We showed that in a previous video. Biddle's garden is a little bit overtaken with weeds right now. I need to help her with that. And over here we've got my favorite petunia. This is a wild violet petunia that self-seeds, so it comes back every year and it's just such a beautiful color that pops in the garden. Really been enjoying that. So our apples, we have 4 apple trees here, but by far this is the one that's producing the best. This is an Empire apple and it is just full of apples this year, which is so exciting. We're so thankful. And the other variety that's done well for us is called Liberty. And just past the apples we've got a little sitting area here and some other fruit trees. We've got peach trees, Contender and Red Haven. We've got our pear tree that's been producing for a couple of years now. This is a Harvest Queen pear. And in the very back corner is Esther's garden. It's always lovely. She's got mostly perennial flowers and herbs back here. Some beautiful hostas that are just about to bloom. She's got some bee balm in bloom right now. It's a beautiful little space back here. She is actually in making breakfast for me, or I would have her out here with me. Yesterday a red wasp got me between the fingers when I was weeding, and so my left hand is a bit out of commission today. So I am incredibly thankful for Esther and all the help she's given me this morning. And then this year we made a new little bed over here. Oh, walking through spider webs. That doesn't have a whole lot going yet. We've just got some baby cucumbers started, a summer squash, and then down here we've got some peppers coming. Over here is Nathan's and Joseph's garden, which I think they've kind of given to Esther. So we're gonna have to get in here and fix it up a bit, but Nathan's got a couple cabbages coming. And our grapevine is all along this edge here. Sorry, the sun is coming out now, so it's gonna be harder to see, but got a lot of grapes coming on this year, which is really exciting. That's our only grapevine. It's a Concord grape, and we've had issues with it getting black rot or black spot. And this year I decided to spray some whey from my kefir, so kefir whey on it, to see if that would help with the black spot issue, and so far so good. It seems to be helping. We also have tried to keep it pruned up high off the ground. Some of that fungus comes from the ground, so hopefully we're gonna have a good grape harvest this year. We'll see. And here's the space I've been spending quite a bit of time on this year. I'm trying to do better at building our own compost, and so we've got four sections here that are all about 4 foot by 4 foot cubes, and we emptied one here. I'm working on filling this one, so I will do one turn on this after it's sat for a couple months into the empty space and let that overwinter. Hopefully it'll be ready by next spring. And then we're emptying this section over here, turning it into there, so that we can put some of our barn muck into here. My goal is to get all of these filled up so that we'll have a good amount of compost going into the next growing season. Thank you guys so much for joining us in the gardens today. It was truly a joy, even though a little bit stressful at times for me. When filming, I've got to work around a lot of different things going on. We're a family of 9, so I often get interrupted multiple times, which you don't see on camera, but we made it through. Thanks for sticking with me. Thank you as always to our patrons who make these videos possible. Until next time, we pray blessings over you and yours. And whatever you do, do it with your whole heart. You just decided to learn guitar a couple months ago, maybe? Is that my old guitar that broke?
Yeah.
And you fixed it.